today.
No, he should be on by now. I can't believe I got on before him. He's
Yeah,
he's a Hollywood guy that knows how to do all this electronic stuff.
he's more advanced than you and I are. So yeah, I'm kind of new to this Zoom thing too. So I guess we'll try to get him connected.
Yeah. So that's the problem. Hey, Barbara, take that in the other room, please. I'm sorry.
So are you in Lawrence right now?
No, my dog is barking. I'm trying to get my dog. Trying to get a dog in the other room, so he's not barking over us.
Yeah. I
Hey,
guess
first of all, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys.
right.
Absolutely appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm Joe, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Hollywood South Urban Film Festival, and I'll be serving as your host in this interview. And I really want to let you know that I really appreciate you joining us. So thank you.
Well, ditto here, man.
So what responsibility did you have in the film Ball of Confusion?
And it's basically my creation, man. I met Silk. I marketed the 100th birthday of basketball back in 91, 92. I've been in sports all my life. I've got a unique story before they all get on. Mm-hmm. Do you have anybody else on your end coming on?
No, we're just waiting for Silk. Waiting for Silk.
So Joe, I kind of have a unique situation where on my father's side, other than his father, everybody on my dad's side was killed in the Holocaust. Mm. 13 brothers and sisters and parents and everything. So I had no family on my father's side. On my mother's side, her father was a pharmacist. So he had pharmacy in Kansas City, in the heart of the inner city, attached to the most famous barbecue restaurant. So as a little boy, I mean, my first memory, man, is 5 years old, and Buck O'Neill and Satchel Paige got their arm around me. They're like my uncles the rest of my life, right? Until they passed away. And Wilt Chamberlain comes walking in the door. Everybody would go to Gates Barbecue next door. Then they saw Grandpa it was a pharmacy. They had cigarettes. They had all the sundry items, stuff like that. And then the Kansas City Municipal Stadium was 2 blocks up the street. So if you wanted to go to a ball game, you had that. And the Negro Leagues were still playing. So imagine I'm going through this, and then I go home to the white suburbs. My buddies back home are listening to the Beatles and Beach Boys. And then when I go down to the drugstore, I'm jamming the Motown and
right.
And so on.
You had the best of both worlds.
I did. I mean, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. But I never knew that knowing all these athletes as a kid, as much as I love sports, I played it, as much as I loved it, I never ever would have dreamed that it would come in handy later in life. So, I'm real sensitive to what's going on today, because I was an activist, a Muhammad Ali guy, and the war in Vietnam, I didn't want to go to Vietnam, man. So, I was a protester, activist, and everything. I was at school at KU. But right before I went to KU, my Black friends that I grew up with down there, a lot of them went off to become Black Panthers. I was always invited. They knew me. Others, the rest of us went off to college, and some to Vietnam. So, all of a sudden you're in college, and then Vietnam is over. I'm playing basketball, pickup games everywhere I can get a pickup basketball game. I'm playing pickup basketball. And then when I got in the business world, I graduated at 21, started my own business at 22, repping sporting goods lines. So I would travel in the Midwest. And then you remember Sam Lacey, the name Sam Lacey? You're younger. He played with Tiny Archibald. He was the big center when the Kings were here in Kansas City. So when I graduated college, the Kings were here. So anyway, I'm from that generation, drugs, sex, rock and roll. Just had a lot of fun. Perfect time to grow up. If you didn't have to go to Vietnam. So I was playing sports like crazy. So anyway, Sam Lacey was a 15-year NBA veteran, 7 foot tall, and he had guard the likes of Willis Reed and Kareem, Dave Cowens, Nate Thurman, all the great ones and stuff. So Sam and I became friends, and I already had this background from growing up. Now Sam is black, so he introduced me to Oscar Robertson, right? And I've been great friends with Oscar for 32 years. And then I thought, Self, I see him in the corner. Self,
Hey, buddy.
Jump in there. See how we do it.
I will.
Yeah.
Just get a little bit.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
I see.
How's that? Let me see. Let me get it right here. How's that, guys?
You're perfect. Here.
That's good.
All right.
Take the glasses off.
Silk, what's going on, man?
Is that Joe?
That's me. Yeah. What's
Nice
that?
to see you.
What's up? Yeah, Keith was kind of giving me the rundown on his history of the inner city culture growing up in the, the late 50s and 60s. And he was sort of bringing me up to speed on the journey of how Ball of Confusion kind of morphed into the documentary, this in the film festival right now. So,
well, there's nobody on the planet that has more knowledge of especially sports, but especially basketball history and content than Keith Zimmerman.
Right,
So,
that's what he's telling me. We were just talking about.
Oh, he told you that?
Well, he was in the process of telling me. We was on Nate Tiny Archibald right now.
Tiny.
Yeah. So
what an incredible player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened, once I became friends with Sam, we marketed the 100th birthday of basketball. We were the official company. We had a company called Centennial Sports Promotion. So that was the year of the Dream Team, right?
In 92.
92. And little did I know that my future brother and best friend, Self, is making White Men Can't Jump at the same time.
Right.
So that was a big year, and that was the year of Rodney King. The Rodney
Right,
King, a lot of social, and
in fact, when Rodney King was all that stuff, we had just finished the movie. We couldn't release the movie because all that was happening, and we had the beautiful movie, and we couldn't do anything. We had to wait months. So Ron Shelton was like, "Wow!" But that was the biggest story in the world, right?
So,
in America.
So y'all had just wrapped on White Men Can't Jump, right in the heart of the Rodney King and the riots that followed it.
We were filming right then, and finished filming. Then it hit. It's crazy.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I'm very lucky. I'm here right now.
Right.
I'm very serious, man. That
for
was
a few reasons.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons, especially then in 92, 91, 92.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Keith sort of gave us some of the background of how he, all of his knowledge and everything. So now let's because there's a lot of things that I've read about you that I had no clue of. Like your Native American ancestry. You played basketball in Tennessee. You tried out for the NBA, but you got hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't know none of that stuff, man. None of it.
Well, unless you go to Duke or UCLA or KU or University of Tennessee and average 40 points back then, if you didn't play on TV, you know how it is.
Right.
And, they had like 14 rounds. I think a draft.
Back then they did,
in the 70s. So now a second round is like a tryout.
Right.
You don't get a guaranteed contract. So we touch on that a little bit about how the game has evolved and what some people think should happen with these great college players. Should they be paid or not, and all that stuff. We go over that, and we cover it a little bit with Oscar Robertson in the film.
So you had your injury and you started modeling, and after the modeling thing, you said, well, you know what, I'm gonna try this acting thing, because my first movie, I think the first movie I saw you in was School Days. I think I was in middle school when it came out, and from Saved by the Bell, Conspiracy Theory, Blue Chips, a long list of movies. So I guess how I'm trying to tie it in together, your background in basketball, after you had solidified your career in acting, you kind of wanted to go back and sort of give something to the game of basketball. And I have to assume that's how the Ball of Confusion kind of took, more.
Your assumptions are pretty much right on the money. I've always planned on playing basketball like all the other guys growing up, in the state of Tennessee. But again, if you don't play on TV in college, the pros are not going to know who you are.
Right.
I had always planned on playing ball. So when I got hurt, I knew I was going to go into modeling, and I knew I was going to use that as, being in magazines might have helped me be seen for a movie. It didn't happen that way.
Right.
But at least basketball gave me that foundation for business and for the film business, especially, but any business because of camaraderie and everything. So that was one of the best things that could happen. So now I say I act like a ball player.
Right. Okay. So, so what responsibilities? I know that you're a director. So what other responsibility did you have on Ball of Confusion?
Well, I think as a director, it's, you have the overall vision of the movie. So I wanted to make sure Keith's vision that he's had all these years, and even I had all these years that didn't realize we were making the film until we met. I want to make sure that was going to be on the screen instead of just handing it to some, somebody that's just a director or a named director. I had to direct it, and I had to have my hands on everything: the editing, the music. I was able to be on the soundtrack.
That's another hat that I saw that you were a songwriter.
Well, I think you should try everything before you leave this world.
Right.
And I tell everybody out there, it doesn't matter what anybody says. Just do it. Get a camera. You want to direct your puppy doing stuff. Do a short film. But anyway, yeah, that took me. I knew I had to be in the arena. So, and then when Keith said, you know what, you are the right. Ron Shelton said, you are, what? And I said, yeah, So I was able to narrate the film as well. So, and kind of guide the audience and through the story. And Keith does a wonderful job of tying it in with his background, and our relationship grew as we knew each other. The game of basketball was growing as we were growing, which I thought was a different take on the movie. And I didn't want to do a movie like anybody else. I didn't want to see documentaries to see what they were like. I wanted to make the movie in the vision as a young director as I could make it, and then let people see what they think of it. And I think it turned out okay. We're very, very proud of it.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was fascinating. Now Keith, is Keith still there?
Right
Yes.
here.
Okay, now when you guys came together and you was like, we don't need another director, you're gonna direct it. So did you use your background and all the people that you had met growing up to reach out to them to do interviews like Oscar Robertson you talked about, all these different people? How were they very receptive to you guys? Because y'all, like I say, you're an actor, but you're not a traditional director. Were all these athletes very receptive? All these historical names in basketball, were they receptive when you guys came to them and said, hey, we want to do this documentary called Ball of Confusion? How did they receive you guys?
Well, Joe, I tell you what, we have so many interviews that even go back 30 years before this film was even thought of. And I like to tell people now that I've been making this film my whole life. I just didn't know it until I met Silk. He was the one who was able to put it into, cinematic form. The funny story was I was spending more time out in LA looking for the right director, talking to people, and Silk, my best friend, my new brother, from another mother, he was standing right there, and Ron Shelton asked Silk, let me call your friend Keith. And Ron Shelton called me, the man that made Bull Durham and White Men Can't Jump. And he said, you don't need to look. There's not a better person to do your film at this time, at this moment, than your buddy Silk Kozar. And he was always looking behind the camera, always watching what I was doing, what I was doing on White Men Can't Jump. And he played so many roles, teaching some guys how to play basketball and stuff. Listen, he could do this for you. So Silk and I had one real long, deep talk. And I said, hey, man, I'm going to send you everything, like everything I got. And you go through it this weekend. And if you want to direct this, and we'll go find the money as we go along. It may take longer, but we'll have total control. And you come in as a partner. And hey man, he was down with that right away, Joe. So man, it's a blessing because we're leaving a legacy behind. We could tell these stories for us. One thing that really cool, Silk got to meet Marcus Haynes, and he got to meet people like, well, Oscar's still alive and healthy, but we've both had a lot of friends that passed away during the 5 years we've been making this. Moses Malone, Daryl Dawkins, and stuff. So it feels really, it's we wish all of them could be there, but getting interviews, I already had 40 hours of footage. I had the Olympic ball from 1936, the Berg ball, and things from the 100th birthday of basketball. So and then the footage we got from Canada from the first Olympics, that's footage nobody in the world has seen. Nobody has seen that.
Hey, Joe, Hitler chose that ball. Hitler chose that ball. The first game, it was played outdoors in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when the United States beat Canada, I think it was like 19-8 or something like that. It was very, and the ball, they just left the ball there in the puddle of water. Well, the captain, Jimmy Stewart, the captain of the Canadian team, just got the ball, gave it to his wife who was sitting in the stands. They took it back to Canada as like spoils of war. And it's been in his family for 80 years. He saw Keith on a 30 for 30, and he got in touch with Keith and said, I own the Berg ball. And of course, Keith calls me and said, what's a Berg ball? We didn't know, because nobody know. Michael Jordan, nobody know. No NBA players ever heard of the Berg ball.
I called the president of the Olympic. That was an Olympic year, and I actually called the president of the Olympics basketball and in Colorado Springs, and he laughed at me. I said, "Hey man, go Google it. They brought the ball home. Hitler fooled the world. He put on these great Olympics, and he was on the cover of Time magazine and stuff. And then, pow, World War II breaks out, and everybody forgets
Henry Ford. Him and Henry Ford were friends.
Ford, absolutely.
Right.
These guys all knew each other, and Hitler wanted to get in on that group, but he had obviously the devious plans, and then for him to actually killed off all my family on my father's side. This movie is in my heart. It's in Silk's heart, because I gotta say this. I probably played in 500 or 1,000 pickup basketball games in inner city parks, from the time I was 17 until I was maybe 45. Not one problem in my life. Not one problem. I mean, all that time at Grandpa's store. I went to the James Brown concert when I was 16. Only white guy there, and never had trouble. Poor Silk, had to go a black guy into a white world. And hey man, white people don't treat him as well as the black people treated me. His story is real sad as a kid.
Well, let me ask you guys that 30 for 30. Were you guys actually shooting? Because I think the 30 for 30 came out maybe 2-3 years ago. Were you guys still in the production part, shooting while that documentary was airing on ESPN?
Absolutely.
Okay, and did it serve as a kind of motivation?
We were ready to release the film a few years ago, and then Keith found the only voice recorded by James A. Naismith. It was in a library or somewhere right in Kansas City library, right, Keith, or somewhere, and it's the only one. So I thought, what a great way to bookend the movie with the way the man that created the game in 1891, right between 1891 and 92.
Right.
Unbelievable. And how these countries come together. Simple game made these countries come together over a simple game.
And that's the whole point. That's the whole point that I traveled for 10 years with the original rules with the grandson of James Naismith, and not the nicest dude in the world, man, but we had a good relationship. But I had the original rules of basketball in my hand, and they did the 30 for 30, and they wanted to know some factual stuff about how I was trying to get the ball sold, and the ball got sold to somebody, and they're hanging up at KU right now. But that's where, after marking the 100th birthday of basketball, I was able to get all this other knowledge by having all this stuff from the Naismith family, and then finding the Bergvall, you know, shortly after that, because Jimmy saw the 30 for 30, you know, we were talking about that. So, man, it's like, you know, both of us feel destined to do this film. It's not like, you know, the longer we wait and, you know, try to do this, something special arrived, you know, that we could put in the film. And then it's like, you know, hey, it just made the film better and better and better. And, you know, like I said, this is what we're meant to do.
What I really enjoy, Joe, one of the things I enjoy so much when we've screened this film for people that I wanted to make this film for people that the non-basketball fans, the non-basketball players. Because, you know, most basketball players, if you just had a movie called Basketball, it don't matter who's in it. I want to go see the movie.
Right.
So I knew the basketball players and fans would want to see the movie, but I wanted to make it for that person that, I've never been to a game before. And then they see it and they go, I didn't know Naismith invented the football helmet. I didn't know he had something to do with volleyball. I didn't know he fought in 2 wars. So it's a history lesson in a comfortable way of tying it in with what was going on in the world and in my world and Keith's world.
Silk wanted to be director so bad he learned all of that in 1 weekend.
1 weekend.
Well, the cool thing is Keith didn't know that I've been, you know, working on directing for a long time. Studying and working with people like Ron Shelton. He let me direct a scene or two, working with all the directors, Richard Donner, they'd let me direct scenes because it's just a knack. And I like people to say, well, I didn't know he could direct. He's just an actor, isn't he? I love that because there's no pressure.
Right. They expect you to fail. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I had, you know, as a founder of a filmmaker, you know, we come across a lot of movies and a lot of trailers and everything. And when I watched the trailer, I watched it about 4 or 5 times, and I had to back it up. And I was like, wow, is this the actor guy? This director? And then I kind of did a little research, and I reached out to, I think his name is Jeffrey Anderson.
Yeah, he works. He's our marketing director.
Right, and I emailed him on, I think it might have been his Facebook page, and I told him, I said, well, you know, I played college basketball myself. I'd say my last college basketball game was against the University of Kansas, and I said I really would love this. Really, yeah. I really would love. I think this was Roy Williams was still coaching. It was Paul Pierce's last year. They were #1 seed overall.
Yeah.
We played them up in Memphis. And I told him, I said, I really would love for this film, because, you know, I love basketball.
You're a ball player.
Would love this film to be in, and he was just emailing me and thank you for reaching out. If you want to do interviews, let me know. And I was a little nervous at first, but I was like,
why?
you know, I don't know. I don't know. But I just said, okay, you know, I talked to my partner. I said, you know, let's go with it. And I know what I took from it. What do you think, or what do you want everybody else to take from this film, you know, when they come across it?
I would like for people to take it that it's not just a game. It's a way of communicating to someone in a whole nother country. You don't even have to speak the language. In fact, Keith has got a quick story if we got any time to tell him about.
Yeah. We go ahead.
I'm talking, if he hadn't already. But it shows how, you know, no matter what color you are, how much money you have, what your parents do or don't do, you can always play, and it ain't about how good you are, because the game imitates, like Dr. J says, and like Ron Shelton says, you'll find out all you need to know when you play a pickup game with somebody. You can see if they're selfish, if they won't pass, or you can see if they're complimentary. You can see if they're mean-spirited or not in one game. You can kind of tell a little bit about people.
You can feel their energy. You can tell their energy.
Yes. You know, as an athlete, now as a filmmaker and athlete, you know, you feel me, because what's the best feeling when you stay up all day. You take your boys and you go to Oak Ridge. You take your boys to go to West Side, the East Side, and you try to stay up all day. That's the ultimate high.
Right.
You know, at least I was raised. Tell them that quick story. Make it quick.
Well, I'll make 2 real quick. The story he's talking about is USA Today did an article last year, and it shows a basketball court in the background, and it's talking about the refugees that have come over from Somalia and come over from Honduras and all that, and how the world has flipped so much because the United States won't take immigrants in. And Germany now is the #1 country to take in immigrants. They have all these people there, feed them well and all that, but they said everybody would point and go hoop and point up to the basketball court. And guys don't speak, each other's language, but the guys who play basketball, they just love that hoop. And that's what we say in the story, is that's how basketball brings us together. And it's always done that. I mean, it's always done that. And then starting in 1936, the first Olympic basketball game, that's when the world started playing each other and culture started playing other cultures. Up until that point, white people played white people, black people played black people, Chinese played Chinese people. It wasn't bringing the world together, but the whole world was playing internally. So, it's...
and this is the perfect time, because look at the world is a ball of confusion right now. It's like going back to the 60s kind of a thing. So we want to show to the second half of the answer to the question till Keith so rudely interrupted me. No, I'm just kidding. But we interrupt each other all the time. The point is, we want to give that information to people, know that it's not just a game. And now people start looking at it in a different way. And respecting the game, then you respect the person and the people and the culture of whoever the person is, wherever they're from, over a simple game. And that, to me, if you could do that, it should be in the schools. It should be in elementary schools, middle school, high school, colleges, and because it's history as well as entertaining.
Hey, Joe, one of the things we're going to be doing is we're getting into the podcast business in a big way. And one of our favorite themes of the film that we didn't get to go into long enough, we'll make a separate film on it, is the death of playground basketball. And it's odd because we're talking to people in Japan that want us to come there and release
right now. They want us now.
They want it right now. But they're saying their outdoor courts are so popular. The military plays, the executives play, people off the street, and their outdoor courts are precious. Here, the Rucker League, the Baker League in Philly, anywhere you want, Griffith Park in Chicago, or LA. All these parks, you can go play ball. I've played ball in all these places. You can't go there today because there's too much violence in the United States. I counted up from the time I started playing ball in Kansas City in these 3 specific parks from, 35 years, there's been more than 150 people killed, in drive-bys or people getting mad at each other while they're playing basketball. So, people don't let their kids go down and play in the park anymore. It's a shame. But that's the culture thing that's in White Men Can't Jump that Silk and Woody play so great. But that was my life. I just didn't hustle anybody.
Right.
And Joe, please finish what you were saying, because you were getting ready to say about when, after viewing the film 4 times, you had to see it again, and you were getting ready to say something.
No, I'm just saying I screened it. I screened the trailer like 4 times, and I was thinking back when I was in, like I said, I played at Jackson State. And my last game was actually against the University of Kansas. So I said, I gotta reach out to this guy and see if I can get this film in our film festival, because I took it as like it's a bridging type feeling, to know that all the stuff that I didn't know about Dr. James Naismith in the game, because the 30 for 30, it told a little bit, but it didn't tell everything. And I just thought the film, it was great across all boards. And I just said I wanted to get the film in the film festival, and I wanted to talk to the people that actually put the film together. So,
well, we have so much respect for you, and we respect you, what you built and created, you and your team. I mean, hey, congratulations, first of all, and thank you for allowing us to show you what we put together. It took years to make, but now we still can't relax. We still still got to get out to keep out there.
So before we leave, let everybody else know what you got going on now moving forward. What are you working on now, and how can people follow and contribute?
Well, one movie we're doing is called Inherit the Land, and it's about the turn of the century, about two white ladies that lived in the early 1900s in a little town in Marvin, North Carolina. And at that time, Jim Crow era, it was against the law for black people to inherit land. You couldn't buy land. You know, it was very restricted. These two women couldn't have children of their own. They had a black girl that they raised and worked with them. They wasn't slaves. They didn't have everybody wasn't, all black people wasn't a slave and all white people didn't, you know. In fact, it showed people picking cotton together, white and black, at that time. So that's a very important, and the book is called Inherit the Land by Gene Stowe. And so that's a very important film. They left 800 acres to this little girl and her father at that time. And 100 people came to the courthouse to try to say, you can't bequeath this land to this black person. And then 100 people said, yes, you can. And they're white. It shows it all, you know, at that time. So I thought that's a very important film. And I'm directing the movie about James Earl Ray.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called James Earl Ray, The Last Interview. And it's beyond a documentary. It shows where he was and that he did not shoot and kill Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah. I'm working with Martin Luther King's son, Martin III. And we've been friends since.
Well, you should let everybody know what your social media is, or a website, or where they can follow you, and they probably will want to contribute to the film.
Well,
just let everybody know.
Inherit the Land. All they have to do is look up Inherit the Land on our Facebook, and we're going to have a lot more social media. But my name is CYLK with Inherit the Land, so they'll be able to connect the two.
Okay.
And it's very powerful. And of course, we're making a couple other films already around the film of Ball of Confusion. You know, because there's several films inside there that we already in post for.
He told me that there was probably hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of footage that you guys shot for this film.
Look, we're already working on the history of another sport. But that's another podcast.
Well, we look forward to that, man. And Silk, I really appreciate this, brother. I mean, it means a lot to me and my partner, Bruce, man. And I just want to wish
Bruce hello.
I just want to wish you much success, man, and what you've already done, contributed to the acting stage, and we appreciate it, man.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting us.
Okay, and you too, Keith. Thank you, man.
Joe, we appreciate you guys, and great luck to you.
Okay.
Hey, guys, real question. How you're going to be back to the theaters in 2021? I know the pandemic's had to kill you guys.
Right. Well, the theaters in Atlanta, they had tried to open back up for a short minute, but they ended up shutting them back down. So we're doing the virtual online thing this year. So hopefully in 2021, we'll be back in Atlanta with our film festival. Yeah.
All right. Prayers to you.
Okay, man. Talk to you guys later. We will keep in touch.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. Thanks.
Talk there.